At the end of 2022, the Liver King was one of the biggest names in the fitness industry. But at the beginning of the year, a mere 8 months ago, it all came crumbling down thanks to one video from More Plates, More Dates, where he exposed that Liver King's entire online presence was based upon a lie. Liver King had always preached the primal lifestyle, known for eating a bunch of wacky foods and raw meats. Like, he has more testicles in his videos than Riley Reid's entire filmography. His big thing was eating all of these testicles and slurping down tons of liver, gluttonously consuming an endless supply of exotic meats, and all the while preaching that it's ancestral living. And he'd lead his followers to believe that if they purchase his supplements and his supplies and eat like him, they could look like him. And obviously, a lot of people fell hook, line, and sinker for that scam because he has a very impressive physique. He looks like an anime character straight out of Baki the Grappler. The goofball's got muscles on his body that haven't even been invented yet. And his veins are just bulging out of his skin. It looks like they're transporting diesel throughout his body. And he would keep telling them, like, if you work hard, you buy my shit, you eat like me, you live like me, following the ancestral tenets, you can be like me, look like me. And it was all completely a lie. It turns out he was juiced to the gills. He was on tons and tons of performance-enhancing products, and More Plates, More Dates brought that to the public eye. Eventually, it forced Liver King himself to just admit that he lied about all of it. He lied. His body isn't the result of following the ancestral tenets or glorbing down on animal testicle for every meal. It's the result of steroids. So, I saw a video floating around on Twitter today, one of his more recent posts, and he's looking extremely rough. So I just wanted to do a little checkup on where Liver King is 8 months post-exposing.
In the modern world, we like to have our bowl of cereal, don't we? This is a primal version of your bowl of cereal. I got my testicles in farm-fresh milk from Liver King Ranch.
Yeah, it's business as usual. He's doing the exact same stuff as he was prior to having all of the steroid usage come to light. But it looks like he's aged 20 years in the last 8 months. It looks like he's one testicle sandwich away from actually exploding. In every TikTok I've seen of him, his body is bright red. It looks like Arnold's face in the movie Total Recall when he takes his helmet off in space and his eyes pop out of his skull, like right before blowing up. That's what Liver King's body looks like. It looks like it is struggling to stay in one piece. Also, a lot of people on Twitter pointed this out, and it's a really good point. It is still so silly how he keeps calling his diet primal living, eating like our ancestors, when this is the furthest thing from primal eating. All of his meals are meticulously prepared by his personal chef and his whole team. He used to say this thing on his videos where, if you don't hunt it, you don't eat it, which is just so dumb because clearly he's not hunting for all of this meat. Like, he's eating more meat than Luffy in One Piece. There is no way he'd be able to hunt for all of that. The only reason he's able to eat like he does in these videos is because he is indulging in the modern excess. He is doing nothing even remotely associated with living primal. I guess aside from the bed he sleeps on, because he basically sleeps on a fucking plank of wood. Dude goes to bed in a coffin like a muscle vampire. That's like the only ancestral type thing he does, because his diet is the furthest thing from it. It is literally the result of being super privileged in the modern excess era.
The most feared warriors, the Maasai. What they get down on is milk, meat, and blood. And they're expressing a higher, more dominant form. If you still want your primal cereal to taste like Cocoa Pebbles at the end.
That weak-ass chocolate powder that he's dumping in from his brand is not going to salvage this primal bowl of cereal. It's not going to make it taste like Cocoa Pebbles. It's going to make it taste like Cocoa Puke. It also really made me giggle that he just didn't even have the energy to actually mix the powder with the milk, so he ends up just consuming it with just powder on top of milk. It's so weird, though, that he even bothered calling this a bowl of cereal primal style. It has nothing in common with that other than there just being milk in a bowl. That's where all the similarities stop. He could have just presented this culinary crime as just like a wacky little shocking dish, like, hey, check this one out, here's 4 testicles and some milk. But anyway, I do think he's upped his usage of the PEDs. It seems like he is in a much different state now than he was 8 months ago, and not for the better. In most of the TikToks I watched from him, he seemed much more physically drained, much quicker. He seemed to have significantly less energy. His physique doesn't look significantly different than it used to, but it looks less human, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't look like muscles anymore. It looks like he has a bunch of rocks under his skin disguising themselves as muscles, like in the shape of muscles.
Put a little bit of whole feast in with your testicles. Make sure you peel back the membrane on the testicle. You can use a spoon if you want, but God gave you the hands for a reason.
I honestly feel pretty bad to a certain extent here. Like, it feels like his muscles have gained their own sentience at this point from so many steroids that they now have a mind of their own, and they're working the Liver King like a puppet. They're in his brain pulling levers like that alien in Men in Black 1, so they're forcing him to keep, you know, staying on the gear, never letting him stop. And it's kind of sad. Because to me, this screams that he's trapped doing this forever because it's his livelihood, it's his financial security, and the livelihood of his entire family. So he needs to keep amping up the extreme meals that he's eating. So he's eating chicken heads and peeling the tongue out of frogs in one of his other TikToks, most recent ones. Like, he just has to keep amping that up so people keep watching, and then he has to keep injecting and stay on all the gear so that way his physique stays the same so people keep watching. And I feel really awful for his audience that is still buying his products in the hopes that they can look even remotely similar to how he does. They can't. Hop off the hopium. No matter how closely you follow his ancestral tenets and no matter how many of his products you buy, you will not have a body that looks like his unless you also get on all of the gear he's using in the same amounts of it. That is the only way. His body is not naturally achievable. Period. Full stop. Now, another thing he's begun doing on his TikTok is he's been posting a lot more content in very expensive shit that is very clearly not ancestral living. So this is a screenshot from one of his more recent TikToks where he's on his private jet and has his personal chef Lionel serve him up some snakes on a plane. So he makes some snakes for him to eat. It's clearly a joke off of the old meme, you know, motherfucking snakes on the plane and all that. So he's very tardy to the party on that meme. That one died like a decade ago. But what's really interesting here is that he's unashamedly showing that he doesn't actually even follow his own ancestral living lifestyle advice, really. Like, being on a private jet is the furthest possible thing from primal living. And some of his audience even called him out, saying, you know, our private jet's primal. And I guess, you know, it's his world, we're just eating testicles in it, so he just comes up with some arbitrary excuse on why it's totally fine. So he says, a true primal left the comfort of the cave for adventure and a better life. Flying private falls squarely in the better life department. What a cop-out. So basically, I make the rules, fuck you. Like, that doesn't make any sense. By this logic, you can also make the same argument for actually everything else. Why eat all the raw meat that you preach about? True primals in search of a better life learn to cook food. And it helped them find a better life. So why wouldn't cooking all of the meals be the preferred way, since it is the better life component of your primal definition? It doesn't add up. It's just one of those things where rules for thee, not for me. He doesn't practice what he preaches. I said this a long time ago. I am very confident everything he showed in his lifestyle video was a big old load of baloney. Just actual fucking horseradish. I don't think he sleeps on a bed of wood, basically. I think he has a luxury $20,000 mattress infused with diamonds somewhere, because he lives a very lavish lifestyle and always has, and everything he's ever put online has been a lie, especially when it comes to his physique and what he actually does in order to look the way he does. But now he's just getting more and more egregious with the lie here. Like, this isn't even really trying to even pretend that you follow your own ancestral tenets and primal living. This is clearly all just marketing. Always has been, always will be when it comes to the Liver King. He is just, in every single video, pumping his Liver King bars, Liver King powders, supplements, all kinds of just completely worthless things that nobody watching him needs. And if you're someone that's watching him and buying these things hoping to get in better shape, then you can find significantly better products on the market that aren't the Liver Kings. Compared to the rest of the industry, his products are very weak. They're not the best available, so you could benefit far more from doing research outside of the Liver King echo chamber and finding much better supplements and powders than what he's currently offering. Holy shit, this fly has not left the entire video. I'm having my own primal battle right now against nature here, Jesus. But the point is, he is a fraud. He has been exposed as a fraud. And 8 months later, he is still doing the exact same thing, but he looks a lot worse now because I really feel like he is only amplifying his gear usage, much to his overall health detriment, I imagine, and only amplifying the extreme nature of his wacky meals. So that's just kind of the little 8-month update on the Liver King here. That's really about it. So yeah.